Hello Power Rangers Lightning Collection fans, and welcome back to Lightning Storm, the series where lightning always strikes twice as we talk about everything that has happened in the past week for the Power Rangers Lightning Collection. Now, this week, besides the whole list of listings thing that we discussed last weekend, wasn't really much that happened at all for Lightning Collection news, but we do have a couple little things we can talk about and speculate about, so let's go ahead and get right on into it. So the first thing we can discuss here today is the fact that New York Toy Fair has been officially canceled for 2021, at least New York one. I do believe that they talked about they're going to still try to have Dallas Toy Fair in October. I don't think that one would happen necessarily either if things don't improve. But the reason why we can talk about that on Lightning Storm is because New York Toy Fair the past 2 years has had Lightning Collection announcements with it. And Toy Fair was already going to be weird this year before they just outright canceled it. So originally, Toy Fair would have been in February, so not too far away from now. So in 2019, Toy Fair had the first official full reveal of Wave 1 alongside Beast Morphers Red from Wave 2 and Goldar. And then of course last year, they had the reveals for the Dragon Dagger and Wave 5 for Lightning Collection. So likely Wave 9 would have been revealed at Toy Fair next month alongside Monsters Wave 2. Since those are going to be out in June, it would be the next logical things for them to announce. Then they pushed Toy Fair a couple months ago to be in May of this year, but then now they just outright canceled it. And if it was in May, I feel like they still would have announced Wave 9 and Monsters Wave 1 earlier than that, because if they're going to be out in June, it'd be a little weird to announce them so close to the release date, although Hasbro has done that before. So what do we do now with Toy Fair being canceled? Well, there's a couple of different avenues that they can go down. The first one would logically be they just announced this stuff during a Fan First Friday event or something. There's still plenty of time between now and June for them to announce those two things, so that could totally be how they do it. Or they could do kind of a PulseCon 2, I suppose, very similar to what they did this past September, and do a big live stream event like that for all of their brands. That's the avenue I would prefer them to go down, because I think that was a pretty fun event, and so I would totally be down to see something like that again. But it will be weird not having Toy Fair. It's been something that Hasbro, did stuff for, Bandai did things for all the time, so it will be sad not having it this year, but it's totally understandable why it got canceled. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see what they do for Lightning Collection reveals, specifically for Wave 9 and for Monsters Wave 2, since those were the most likely things to be shown off at a Toy Fair here in the first half of the year. Now, next month in February, there still is a Hasbro Investors meeting, although I don't know if that would necessarily have any toy-related information. Now, they always do an Investors meeting for their first quarter stuff in February, so I'm not surprised if that's a thing that's happening, but maybe they'll turn that into some kind of reveal kind of thing, although I don't know how likely that is. But if there's not going to be a Toy Fair, maybe that's an avenue they can explore as well. So just something I wanted to, talk about here for a second, because it does technically pertain to Lightning Collection stuff, or really Lightning Collection announcements. So figured, might as well cover it. We do have one little thing for Spectrum things that we can mention that's kind of weird. So it actually seems like the Spectrum Versus packs are actually up on the Target website. So there are these two new listings that were created up on the Target website for Power Rangers Battle Tops, which is not what they're supposed to be called. One for the SPD Blue Pack and one for the In Space Red versus Astronomer Pack. And they actually have shown on the page actual promo shots for the Spectrum Versus packs, which is something we hadn't seen before. And the UPC number in the description matches to the Spectrums, and they show as being in stock at Target's website. You can actually order them, and someone DM'd me on Twitter that they actually were sent the Spectrum one. So if you were looking for the Spectrum Versus packs still, that might be a good way to go. You might actually get the Spectrum versions on that listing that shows the Spectrum. So I don't know why those popped up on Target's site now, so many weeks later, but I guess that could be an avenue to try to go down. So I'll leave a link in the description below for both of those. Now, the Spectrum monsters have pages that match the URL, that match the UPC for those. However, they don't show pictures of the Spectrums, so I would be a little bit more weary of ordering the potential Spectrum monster pages because they don't show Spectrums, but I'll throw those down there too if you want to give them a shot. You might get some of the Spectrum monsters, but I'd say you have a pretty good bet on actually being sent the Spectrum versus packs based off of those battle top listings. So yeah, if you're still looking for those versus packs, that might be your easiest way to do it. So good luck with that, and I can't believe Spectrum's on the news again. Next up, I figured we can just have some speculation. So we do have that big list of listings from last weekend that had all the new stuff on it. If you did not watch the Lightning Storm episode where I covered the list of listings, so you know exactly what I'm talking about, I will leave some kind of card or something up for it here so you can look back at it, or I'll probably put a picture of it here back up on the screen so you can reference it. So there's been a lot of theories as to what some of these things could be ever since the list was found and posted. So first up is the new hotel. So new hotel, I'm very confident in saying is probably a helmet. I don't see why it wouldn't be a new Lightning Collection helmet. We've gotten one the past 2 years in the summer. This one releases on August 1st. Last year, the Red Ranger helmet came out on August 1st, so the timeline would line up for that to be accurate. Now, really, what helmet could it be? So my personal prediction, now this is just speculation on my part, is I think it could really only be one of 4 possible choices. I think the top, most obvious contender would be Mighty Morphin Green. Tommy is going to always sell products, we know that, and Mighty Morphin Green is so, popular of a Ranger, and they've already done Mighty Morphin White, so I could easily see Mighty Morphin Green being like a top easy contender for a helmet in the summer. I think they also could go sort of the Tommy route and go Lord Draken. I would love to see them do comic-related helmets. That would be really, really cool. And Lord Draken has been getting some decent love in the Lightning Collection, with his figures and everything. So a Draken helmet would be an awesome piece. Also, it would be another helmet that Bandai never did in the Legacy line. And Mighty Morphin Green is something that Bandai did do. So it would be nice to see something new for a change, like we did with the Light Ranger helmet. I think the third possible option could be someone from Zeo. Now, they did talk about before at old live streams about how 2021 is Zeo's 25th anniversary. And we've already been getting a pretty decent amount of Zeo stuff, especially with the figures. We're more than halfway done with the team almost. So it would be interesting to get Zeo Red. That could be another Tommy Avenue. Or it could be Zeo Gold, because that's a huge fan favorite and everything like that. And then I think finally fourth for possibilities could be Omega Red, since he is kind of the leader figurehead of the Power Rangers comic series right now. So I feel like that could also work. So if I had to guess what the helmet could be, I would say Mighty Morphin Green is the most likely, followed by Draken, followed by something from Zeo, probably Gold, and then Omega Red. So, of course, all that's just pure speculation. They could come out and completely surprise us and do something not on that list at all. But if it's not one of those 4 helmets, I would definitely be surprised. So, I guess we'll just have to see what happens with that. But yes, I think it's very likely that the new hotel code on that list is for a helmet. It's priced at about what it should be. Its release date makes sense. Hotel was literally the code for helmet under the old code system. So it does all just kind of line up for that to work out. So, but, it could always be different, I suppose. Next up, I have a little bit of speculation on the LGY Little Bang and BLM Sputnik codes. So I did mention in passing last week that they could potentially be, instead of monsters, they could potentially be battleizers and another $30 subline kind of thing for that. I still think that's very likely because there's a couple things that I didn't even think about before that people have pointed out. So Lost Galaxy and In Space were the very first 2 seasons to even have battleizers, so that definitely lends a kind of a little bit of credence to why they would want to do battleizers for them. Also, we have In Space Red and Lost Galaxy Red in the Lightning Collection already, so it wouldn't be too difficult, I would think. I mean, you would have to remold In Space Red to make him a little bit more buffer and everything, because that's what his battleizer did. Lost Galaxy Red, I feel like you can just basically make the armor to slide over the figure. But I do think battleizers are something that they'll do eventually. I think these could be battleizers. They, of course, could also just be a Monsters Wave 3 for the Lightning Collection. However, I think it would be weird, just looking at the list we have so far, if we got, Monsters Wave 2 alongside Wave 9, and then we got Versus Wave 2 alongside Wave 10, then also Monsters Wave 3. I feel like it'd be kind of weird if we were getting further ahead in the monsters already than the Versus packs. It's not impossible, of course, I could totally be doing that. But I feel like maybe it is a new subline, and it just, happens to be the same price as the monsters, because that's just the price class they want it to be. So I'm personally betting on potentially battleizers. Of course, it could just be monsters. there is, it does make sense for that too. So it's going to be hard to know what they could possibly be until they get revealed. And since those are part of the September release date stuff, it will be a while before we see it. It won't be until the summer at the earliest that we see it. So that's a little unfortunate, but we'll just have to wait, and we'll just have to see what they end up being, because we have cooler things happening all the time. So, well, not cooler things, but we have a lot of cool things happening, especially before then, to still look forward to, like Wave 9 and, of course, Monsters Wave 2. And I have a little bit of just discussing what I think could happen with Wave 9 that I'll get into right now. So the only thing with Wave 9 that I kind of want to discuss is Lost Galaxy Blue for some reason. So I've been thinking about, I wonder what they'll do with him. If he'll come with a Quasar launcher and a Quasar Saber, because Leo, in his 2 releases, came with one in one and one in the other. So I would hope that Kai could somehow have both, although I don't know if they would spring the budget for that. I would love to see it, but obviously I would prefer for him to have the Quasar Saber. I think that's the most important, or the more important thing for the Lost Galaxy Rangers to come with, rather than the Quasar launcher. But then if we're starting one Ranger off the Quasar launcher, I'm going to want them all to have it. So let me know down in the comments below, what do you think they'll do with Kai? Do you think he'll have both? Do you think he'll have just one? And if he does, which one would you prefer for him to have? So I would like to know what your guys' thoughts on that are down in the comments below. But yeah, I'm very interested to see what he would have. I'm also very curious what version of the Morpher that Bridge is going to have with SPD Green, because they keep, Sky and Jack came with the same version, and then Sid's looks different for some reason. So who knows what's going on there, but maybe Bridges will look like Jack and Sky's did, or his will look all weird like Sid's for some reason. I think Wave 9 will be very interesting to see. And the more I think about it, I am betting on ZTH Tenga probably being like a cog or something like that. It would probably be like the 1 per case for the wave or something, I would assume. We actually might know the case assortment here sometime soon. I would imagine that Wave 9 might be going up for pre-order on a distributor level sometime sort of soon. I guess we'll just have to wait and see on that. But I would not be surprised if we have more information on what the actual contents of Wave 9 definitively are, and what the case assortment is for it sooner rather than later, because it's 5 months away from release, which is still plenty of time, don't get me wrong. But I would assume that we'd have to see it actually revealed within the next month or month and a half, 2 months or so, unless they really wait until the last minute like they did for Wave 6 or something like that. But I think Wave 9 should probably be the next thing that we see officially. And then since Monsters Wave 2 comes out on June 1st too, I would assume that they would not be too far behind, or even revealed during the same event. So yeah, that's it really. I know none of this is really news today. It was just kind of speculation on the codes and everything, but it's been about a week since that list leaked out, so I figured we kind of just let it sit for a minute, and then we can discuss what I think is going on with it and everything. And then of course we did have the news of Toy Fair being canceled for the year and what that could potentially mean. But yeah, that's all I really got for this week's episode of Lightning Storm. Sorry there wasn't much news. It just was a kind of slow week after all those listings came out, understandably so. That was a pretty big piece of news that came out last weekend, so I wasn't expecting anything else to really happen, and it didn't. So, but yeah, that's all I have for this week's episode of Lightning Storm. Of course, you can follow me on Twitter at 2 different places, at either Living Ranger Key for my personal account, or at LightningFigPR for everything strictly Lightning Collection. And until next time, I'll see you all on Lightning Storm, the series where lightning always strikes twice. Thanks for watching.